So if you've been working to grow your business and you are stuck, you can't seem to get past some certain number or milestone for whatever reason, there's a really good chance that you're stuck because you're working on the wrong problem. In today's video, we're going to explore why do companies get stuck, and it's going to have to do with this. There's a difference between problems and there's a difference between constraints. And in year one, your problem is your constraint, but somewhere over time, those things diverge, okay? And when that happens, guess what happens? You spend all your time working on problems and not on your constraint. So here's the deal. If you own a business, you own a restoration company, and you want to make sure that you're working on the primary problem or the actual constraint, you don't want to miss this video. Let's go. All right, guys, as we get started, do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button and drop a comment down below and let me know where you guys are tuning in from. All right, so let's start off with the idea of a constraint. Constraint is a type of problem. It is a limiting problem. It's a bottleneck. It tends to cap your growth. That is a constraint. A problem could be anything, but essentially a problem is nothing more than a distraction. Now, if we talk about a problem could even essentially just be a series of distractions. They feel urgent, but they're not necessarily critical to your growth. You want to solve the problems when they pop up. You've heard the term putting out fires. Those are problems, but that doesn't mean that there are limiting constraints. So what's the biggest problem? We wind up looking for problems to solve in the business, and we're not looking for constraints. We want to make sure that we are looking for and identifying the primary constraint and then working everything we need to do to solve that constraint. That's not what we do. Instead, we sit there and we go to the office and we hover and we're looking for fires to put out, okay? Trying to help our team get unlocked, right procedures, okay? There's all number of things that we are working to do that are not helping us move the ball forward and actually loosen our primary constraint. So let's just play this out in an actual business, okay? So let's say that we're gonna be talking about year one of your restoration business, okay? So at least for us, once we figured out a handful of things, the growth took off really, really quickly, okay? And if you're not growing quickly, you're working on the wrong thing. If you need help with that, go to workwithshane.com. We can hop on a call, and I promise you, I can show you how to grow at breakneck speed because that's what we did. We broke our neck, okay? But you should be growing very quickly, and the primary reason is this. You've got one problem. You don't have any jobs. You got no leads, you got no jobs. In year one, that is your primary constraint. So it's okay to solve the problem then because your problem is your constraint. We don't have any leads. We don't have any sales. We're not doing the jobs. We don't have any profit. Those are all constraint problems. Those are great. So at this stage, the business doesn't have any real problems outside of their primary constraints. So that's why in year one, when you're doing all of that, it is pretty simple to grow to get that vertical growth trajectory. So let's take a look at phase two, okay? As growth starts to happen, you start getting more jobs and you start hiring more people. You start having to go get a van. So now you got a van, you got to rack it out, you got to wrap it, you got to get more gear, you got to get your little tags on there so you can identify everything. There's a lot of other things that you need to do as an owner. You got to train the guys, you got to hire the guys, you got to do your HR. These are all important things that need to get done, right? But the issue is this, the business is getting more complex. And as most owners, what happens is they start solving all of those problems and all of those issues, and they take their eye off the ball. They're not still focused on leads and jobs and leads and jobs and collecting it, right? That's what happens every single time that you go to scale your restoration company. If you guys know, you go get really, really busy, you get 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs pop in a week, and you're a small outfit, it's hard to process those things. And every time, here's what happens. We get behind on our admin work. We don't turn in our estimates or we don't turn in our invoices. We don't build things properly. We're not following up. And it always appears the same way over and over again. What happens? We start running out of cash. Why are we running out of cash? Because we're not doing the necessary inputs beforehand. We get super duper busy. So now maybe at this point in year two or whenever this starts to happen, right? What does the business look like? You've got a couple trucks, right? Maybe you've got 3 trucks. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 technicians. Maybe you've got somebody in the office. Maybe you don't. As I start to say all of this, you can start to understand really quickly, like there's a lot more things to do and your workflow has to change. You didn't used to have a workflow. It all went to you. You answered the phone, you did the estimate, you did the invoice and blah, blah, blah. It was all right there. But here you go. Complexity comes into the business, and then now you have some other problems that are popping up that are not critical and urgent, or they're not limiting to the business. And ultimately, we want to spend our time working on stuff that are not drivers in the business. Okay, so what does this mean for you? Thanks, Shane. I appreciate sharing this with me. What's the solution? How do I fix it? Well, first off, you need to know what the primary constraint is. I'll just tell you, like, if you're in year two, like, you may not know. And that's why, like, I would invite you to come get on a call with us. Go to workwithshane.com and we can hop on a 15-minute call. I don't know for sure if I can help you. Like, it might We might be able to, we might not. But outside perspective is really helpful, okay? I would invite you to, and it doesn't matter if it's us, I would tell you to find a coach or somebody to look at your business from the outside, because you can't see it because it's directly in front of you. But if you're looking to the side over here, it's much easier to see. But like when it's directly in front of you, it's like a boxer. It's hard to see when you're covering your face. You know what I'm saying? You can't see the punches, and that's the punch that knocks you out. Well, I, sitting outside as your ring man, I can see because I'm not the one getting punched in the face. So outside perspective is a really good way to have somebody look at your business and be like, hey, do you think I'm working on the primary thing? Yes or no? And they just need to have a handful of questions. Look at your last 60 days of jobs, look at your last 60 days of revenue. There's a lot of different things that could be going on that have you stalled. And it's just probably going to be this. You're probably working on the wrong thing. And the other thing would be this. There's probably a really good chance, even if you are working on a primary constraint, there's low-hanging fruit in your business that you could go grab really quick to get more profit in the business. So like, yes, it might be true that you have too many people on staff, you don't have enough jobs, you don't have enough leads, but you might also be leaving certain things off of your invoice or off of your bills that all you got to do is just simply put them on there, okay? You're missing line items. You're not billing for everything that you could. And I'm going to tell you this, if you don't put it on the bill, they ain't ever going to pay it. If you don't put it on the bill, they will never pay it. So one of the biggest things that I see, at least in a lot of our clients, that we help them is we make sure that they are not missing billing items, okay? There's many things that you can do. When you put that on there, that's just going to be capturing missed revenue. I don't want to get too deep because I don't speak to you in your scenario because I don't know who you are, okay? But it's a really good chance that you leaving stuff off your invoice is one, not setting enough equipment, not drying a long enough time, not utilizing stabilization. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Small tweaks that over the course of a month or a year really have really big dividends in terms of profitability in your business. Before we get out of this, I do want to let you know there are problems that are relating to constraints. If you don't have a steady job flow, you don't have steady jobs coming in the door, that is a problem, okay? And the constraint is leads. But then there also could be a conversion thing where you're not closing on enough of those jobs, right? You've got a sales issue. You might have enough leads, but you don't get enough sales. And then there'll be another problem that you might have. You are not converting the cash pays to insurance jobs, okay? These are limiting constraints. And I'll be honest with you, when we grew our company, one of the things that that allowed us to double our profitability, it really wasn't double the number of leads. We did get some additional leads, but we focused on water. We niched down to plumbers. We did use the internet, but like we transitioned over to plumbers from the internet because the internet's really inconsistent, so that you'll have a lot of cash flow problems, and we'll get to the cash flow in a minute, right? There's a handful of different things that you can do to fix any one of these things, right? But I just want you to know this. Once we learned how to bill what we were worth, we learned how to collect that amount of money, we stopped losing jobs, we were able to dispute the internet jobs and get our money back on the ones that were bogus leads. There's small things that we did there. They made huge improvements for us. We didn't get kicked off the jobs from the adjuster. We learned how to control the claim. How many times have you ever had a customer or a client say, hey, I think I want to talk to the adjuster. I want to make sure this is covered first. Those are sales objections, and you've got to learn how to be persuasive enough to begin that job otherwise. And so here's how this shows up. You stop getting kicked off jobs, the claims that you're working on stop getting denied, and then you're able to take jobs that would otherwise get denied. You learn how to get them covered. And when you do that, then you're able to flip a $2,000 cash pay into a $10,000 insurance claim. This is not more jobs. This is not more leads. You understand? This is just maintaining the job you've got. I think the big idea that I want you guys to know is this. There's a lot of different ways to increase your profitability, and there are problems and there are constraints, but there's a difference between the two. It's really important that you understand and you know which one of these that you are working on. Hey, if you don't know which ones they are, I would invite you to go to workwithshane.com, put in your information, and we hop on a 15-minute call. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. We'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys enjoyed that video, I've got 3 things for you. First off, there's a couple of other videos somewhere on the screen. You can click those now to go watch more content about growing your restoration company. Number 2, if you haven't already subscribed, click my face below and that will subscribe you to the channel. And finally, if you would like for me to help you grow your restoration company, go to workwithshane.com, put in your information, and let's get on a 15-minute call. We'll see you then.